Everyone, what's up? Open World Games here. Hope you guys are doing good today. And yes, let's dive straight into this Watch Dogs 3 leak. It is a really good one here. And also further backed up by Kotaku, who's notorious for leaking like Assassin's Creed games. And they've, been confirmed to be true in the past. So let's do this. So this was posted by Amazon UK. It says, Watch Dogs Legion PS4 by Ubisoft. Of course, I would expect this to be releasing on all platforms, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. But there's definitely some interesting stuff in here about Watch Dogs Legion, which of course is Watch Dogs 3, about how you will be playing in a futuristic dystopian London where you can basically go and recruit any NPC and then control them. But let's dive into what Kotaku has to further say about this right now. Sources in the description below if you want further reading. But it says this: it wouldn't be E3 without every Ubisoft game leaking, wouldn't it? Following Roller Champions last month, the third Watch Dogs has now leaked out thanks to Amazon UK, and it's called Watch Dogs Legion. Kotaku can confirm that this one's real, as we've heard the name from several sources plugged into the company. Definitely very interesting stuff here. Now, furthermore, says this: play as anyone. Every individual you meet in the open world has a full set of animations, voiceover, character traits, and visuals that are generated and guided by gameplay systems. And this is definitely interesting. It kind of sounds like State of Decay. You guys may remember in State of Decay, you go out and you recruit survivors, but they all have their own traits and personality and stuff like that, and then you can actually control them. So it sounds similar in that regard, and it works very well in State of Decay, and I'm curious to see what Watch Dogs can do with this. Let me know if you guys like this, or if you prefer, some other sort of system, or just sticking with one character. Is it optional? We'll be finding out more. I imagine there will be a main protagonist as the leader, though, in this game. But let's see this. It says this: I've heard the same, and also that you'll see different things at different points in the game depending which NPC you're playing as. In fact, from what I've heard, the system is so ambitious that it's been causing the developers a lot of headaches and may have led to at least one delay. More news next week at E3. All right. Very interesting stuff. Now, the Amazon listing goes on to say this: Watch Dogs Legion is set in a near future dystopian version of London. It's a post-Brexit world in which society, politics, and technology have changed and altered London's fortunes. London is one of the most iconic cities in the world and has had a massive influence on all of the Western culture for centuries. London makes total sense for Watch Dogs, as the city has one of the highest surveillance levels in the world, making this the perfect playground. And yeah, again, this is not official. This is considered a leak, but it seems like this one is going to pan out to be true. Also, you got to remember that there was that alternate ending added to Watch Dogs 2, and they kind of teased London clear back then with that alternate ending. So personally, I think this one is going to end up being legit, and it's really cool they're going to London. In my opinion, I think it would be a very interesting playground for all this technology and stuff. I'm curious to see how futuristic they're going to actually go with Watch Dogs Legion here. And it's interesting also that's not going to be carrying like a number like Watch Dogs 3, or maybe it will, but it looks like it's going to be just called Watch Dogs Legion. So that's curious. But yes, look out for more news here at Open World Games about Watch Dogs Legion and everything coming out of E3 2019 related to open world gaming goodness. I have you guys covered. So yeah, stay tuned. If you're new, press that subscribe button. I'm curious to see if this game is going to be heavily focused on multiplayer as well, considering it has this subtitle, I guess you would say, or if it's going to be super single player centric. We'll find out. But guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I will see you guys later. Take care.
Uh, não, pronto, as minhas previsões para da Ubisoft, que eu acho que tem mais algumas coisas. Eu acho que vai ser anunciado um novo Rayman. Eu acho que da Ubisoft vai ser anunciado um novo Rayman. Agora, este novo. E acho que também vai ser anunciado um novo jogo do Tom Clancy, pelo menos um. Acho que um deles é o Breakpoint. Acho que é assim que se chama. Yeah, um deles que provavelmente vai-se falar bastante, vai ser o Breakpoint. Acho que vai ser anunciado
Hey
Step 2, foi
everyone,
uma coisa que eu
what's
por acaso
up?
esqueci de outra vez dizer, é o Step 2. Agora, foi uma das principais razões porque eu fiz este vídeo. Eu estou a fazer este vídeo. Uma das razões que eu estou a fazer este vídeo é por causa de. Eu acho que. Eu acho muito woke esta cena do. E muito SJW e muito esquerda. Fazer Watch Dogs a passar numa distopia por causa do Brexit. Não, Brexit é a melhor coisa que vai acontecer ao Reino Unido e eu tenho imensa inveja dos ingleses e em relação a isto. Não em relação a outras coisas, mas em relação à questão do Brexit e da cidadania europeia. E para aqueles que acham, mas ah, com a União Europeia temos aquilo do GDPD. Tenho a certeza que o GDPD, ou aquela coisa de privacidade online que a União Europeia, que não tem nada a ver com privacidade, aquilo tem a ver com lixar pequenas empresas. Atenção. Então, ouçam e vejam isto. E, né? Acham que isso respeita a privacidade das pessoas?
Facial scans and fingerprints are just part of a massive biometric database announced by the European Union. The EU Parliament voted for a unified database called the Common Identity Repository, or CIR. It's not only consolidating biometrics and identity records of EU citizens, but also travelers coming into EU countries. Now, along with facial and fingerprint scans, it holds names, passport numbers, and even birth dates. The main purpose of this database is to help law and border enforcement conduct faster searches, potentially tracking criminals and migrants. Right now, there are several different databases, and a single unified database would vastly improve that process. Proponents claim that they'll be able to safeguard privacy and regulate access to the information. However, privacy advocates fear it will become a Big Brother database that tracks travelers and could eventually be hacked. The new database will hold records on more than 350 million people, making it the world's third largest tracking database. The largest are in India and China, which both have their own national systems. In the US, the FBI and Customs and Border Protection also use biometric directories. Following formal approval, EU member states will have 2 years to comply.
Consegui um. Oh, mas vai correr bem, não vai? Até porque eu acho que sei escrever. Até já. Ah, já está aí. Agora eu depois falo já um bocadinho. Não sei, não sei. Ok,
You may have been noticing lately that the ruling class these days just kind of introduce stuff that no citizen wanted them to. We, the people of the European Union, didn't get a vote on the copyright directive. In fact, millions of people signed petitions and sent emails to their local MEPs demanding that it be rejected, but that didn't stop it from coming to pass. When the powers that be in Brussels want something, they don't ask permission. They just do it. And they'll even ignore the results of referendums when they don't go their way. In 1992, Denmark voted against the Maastricht Treaty. They were made to vote again. Ireland voted against the Nice Treaty in 2001, but we were also made to vote again. Similarly, in 2008, we had to vote again on the Lisbon Treaty when we rejected that. France voted against the EU constitution in 2005, but that result was just ignored. The Netherlands also rejected it in the same year, but they were also ignored. EU bureaucrats have done everything in their power to undermine the result of the Brexit referendum over what has been almost 3 years now. Recently, Guy Verhofstadt had the audacity to tweet the following in response to Turkey's President Erdogan wanting a rerun of the recent Istanbul elections. This outrageous decision highlights how Erdogan's Turkey is drifting towards a dictatorship. Under such leadership, accession talks are impossible. Full support to the Turkish people protesting for their democratic rights and for a free and open Turkey. Boy, we are reaching a level of hypocrisy here that shouldn't be possible. Guy Verhofstadt, a man who has previously said the following about the sovereignty of EU member states.
And that is the real problem, colleagues. Why there is such a problem in this crisis? Because member states are reluctant to transfer new sovereignty and powers to the European Union. And we all know that the only way out of this crisis is a new transfer of powers to the European Union and to the European institutions.
This guy also wants an EU army, just so you know. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has said that the EU should become an empire. And now the EU wants to create a massive biometric database of all EU citizens. This is an article from Gizmodo. Say cheese. The EU is set to create one of Earth's biggest biometric databases. What could possibly go wrong? Never mind the fact that once again no EU citizen voted for this. The European Parliament has voted by a significant margin to streamline its systems for managing everything from travel to border security by amassing an enormous information database that will include biometric data and facial images, an issue that has raised significant alarm among privacy advocates. This system, called the Common Identity Repository, CIR, streamlines a number of functions, including the ability for officials to search a single database rather than multiple ones, with shared biometric data like fingerprints and images of faces, as well as a repository with personally identifying information like date of birth, passport numbers, and more. According to ZDNet, CIR comprises one of the biggest tracking databases on the planet. Every day, the European Union is beginning to sound more and more like communist China. Anyone else think that this biometric database is going to give rise to a European social credit system before too long? The CIR will also amass the records of more than 350 million people into a single database, containing the identifying information on both citizens and non-citizens of the EU, ZDNet reports. According to Politico Europe, the new system will grant officials access to a person's verified identity with a single fingerprint scan. The system has received significant criticism from those who argue that there are serious privacy rights at stake, with civil liberties advocacy group State Watch asserting last year that it would lead to the creation of a Big Brother centralized EU state database. I think that's kind of the point, actually. Next up, we will likely see the introduction of mandatory biometric ID cards for all EU citizens. From Secure ID News, mandatory biometric ID cards for EU citizens move closer to reality. Biometric ID cards for EU citizens are a step closer to reality, thanks to what officials of that body call an informal agreement about those identification documents. The cards would include digital storage of 2 fingerprints and a photo of the person carrying them, though the agreement does not include requirements for biometric databases. Does anyone remember about a decade ago when this kind of talk was considered the domain of paranoid, crackpot conspiracy theorists? And the reality is, the technological advancements in our culture have normalized the idea of this kind of thing in the average person's mind. Increasingly, biometric, fingerprint ID, and facial recognition technology is becoming ubiquitous in our lives. Logging into your laptop or smartphone by using your fingerprint ID is becoming more and more common. Users can unlock their devices by looking at the front-facing camera on their phones. So the idea that personal identification at the level of the state would evolve to this degree seems like natural and logical progress in the minds of most people. And they'll focus on that. They'll focus on what they believe to be the benefits: more secure and robust personal identification and a reduction in identity theft, without also realizing that they're once again sacrificing their freedom for more security. Their society increasingly becomes more and more of a surveillance state. As I've said before, we do it to ourselves. We normalize Big Brother oversight in our lives every day by investing in the technology, by sacrificing our privacy for the convenience that the technology brings to our lives. The tracking device smartphone in your pocket, the smart speaker listening appliance in your home, devices with questionable security and privacy standards. Now, the same technologies used in our everyday consumer products are being employed by the state to track us, and we got no vote on this. It's my belief that if the state is just doing things autonomously, passing laws and regulations without the consent or consultation of the citizenry, then those laws and regulations are usually not in the best interests of the citizenry. It truly looks like a brave new world lies ahead. Thanks very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
There's a lot of really cool things we can do with biometric technology, notably opening your phone or computer with your face. Because of these cool things, biometrics technology across public, private, and commercial industries is surging worldwide. The biometrics technology market is likely to reach up to $60 billion by 2025, according to a recent study by Grand View Research. In 2017, it was valued at $14.4 billion, and the largest biometrics market was in the US. But now Asia and Europe are catching up. In previous videos, we've covered how China and the UK are implementing facial recognition. But just last week, the European Parliament voted to interconnect border control, migration, and law enforcement systems into one massive biometric database of EU and non-EU citizens. But before we get into the news, make sure you check out irl.minds.com because we are putting on a live event in the Philadelphia area. Tickets are available now. There's going to be a ton of awesome speakers. I will be there. I hope to see you there. If you want to support this video, just share it on social media to help spread the news. The Common Identity Repository, or CIR, will have the biometric data of 350 million EU and non-EU persons, making it the third largest identity database in the world, just behind China's internal surveillance and India's Aadhaar systems. The database will link names, birth dates, and passports with facial scans and fingerprints to simplify tracking individuals. According to the EU press release, the new rules will make EU information systems used in security, border, and migration management interoperable, enabling data exchange between the systems. This will facilitate the tasks of border guards, migration officers, police officers, and judicial authorities by providing them with more systematic and faster access to various EU security and border control information systems. European Parliament and the European Council has promised to implement proper safeguards to keep the data secure, but has yet to detail how they plan to do that. If you use a phone or computer that unlocks with your fingerprint, a hash of your fingerprint's data is stored locally on the device, making it difficult for anyone to breach that information without direct access to your device. A government biometric database keeps the exact image of the fingerprint rather than a cryptographic version of it, and centralizes that data all in one place. Without proper security, that central database can be hacked and millions of people's biometrics data can be exposed all at once. You might be thinking that one of the largest governmental bodies would have adequate security to prevent a data breach, but just last February, a security researcher found that one of China's surveillance system databases was not properly secured. He was able to view highly sensitive and detailed information like ID numbers, home addresses.
Acham que o Reino Unido vai estar pior do que nós que vamos continuar na União Europeia depois de conseguir finalmente executar o Brexit, depois de terem visto estes vídeos? O que me chateia mais nisto é que a Ubisoft, das três mais, entre a EA, a Activision e a Ubisoft é a mais, é que tem melhores jogos, na minha opinião. E se não fosse um Hulk, até era, não só era, se não fosse tão Hulk, era uma empresa que eu apoiava mais, mas entre o Assassin's Creed Odyssey a ter pretos no Egito Antigo, quando no Egito Antigo eles eram brancos, testes de ADN provam que os habitantes do Egito, o Egito é no norte da África, não no Sub-Saara África. Não é? Sub-Saara África é onde ficam os pretos, não é o norte da África. Segundo, testes de ADN provam que os egípcios são geneticamente mais próximos dos atuais moldávios e húngaros do que dos atuais egípcios. Os antigos egípcios, os antigos habitantes do Egito, são mais parecidos geneticamente com os habitantes da atual Moldávia e Hungria do que com os habitantes atuais do Egito. Deixa-me dizer outra vez. Os antigos habitantes do Antigo Egito são mais parecidos geneticamente com os habitantes da atual Hungria e Moldávia do que com os atuais egípcios. Isto é porque quando os muçulmanos árabes primeiro invadiram a Somália e trouxeram com eles, por isso os muçulmanos árabes Somália não, Sudão. Primeiro invadiram o Sudão e depois invadiram o Egito. Violaram, mataram toda a gente que estava lá, mataram praticamente a população toda curda. Curda não, a população quase toda de cristãos, como é que se diz? Cóticos, de cristãos, um tipo de cristãos que existia no Egito. E por isso a população atual não tem nada a ver, porque eles mataram e quem não mataram violaram e por isso substituíram a população completamente. E os egípcios atuais não são pretos, são assim ligeiramente morenos, talvez bege, um bege ligeiramente escuro. Mas não, no Assassin's Creed Origin, os gajos são pretos como fossem do Sudão ou da Somália. Se nós formos aqui. Não sei este vídeo, mas...
Hello, happy Friday to you from a frigid Wisconsin where it's currently 10 below roughly outside. So fortunately, I'm a basement dwelling video gamer, so it's nice and toasty in here. Today I want to cover some interesting developments in the Ubisoft Assassin's Creed versus SJW outrage mob. Now, if you remember, this is maybe a week or two ago, essentially what had happened was Assassin's Creed rolled out some DLC. In this DLC, a female character would have ended up, spoiler alert, would have ended up having a baby with a man, regardless of the fact if you've chosen to be gay. Now, from a utilitarian standpoint, I could absolutely understand this, especially happening in the time period that Assassin's Creed takes place. I'm sure lots of homosexuals had children and lived traditional lives for utilitarian reasons, and particularly in this case, you know, to preserve her bloodline, which is literally the storyline, right? However, Ubisoft now has released the Going Straight DLC, sponsored by Totino's and Pringles, to appease the social justice warriors. Now, to be clear, I actually received a really lengthy email from a viewer who is in the LGBT community and was a little, they felt a little uncomfortable with how aggressively I was, quote, against this. I want to be very clear. I don't care. Like, bang who you want as long as it's legal. Don't care. Don't want to know about it. Don't care about it. None of my business anyway. Okay, so everyone's very clear. I don't have a problem with choosing to be gay in real life. I don't have a problem with choosing to be gay in a video game. My joy from covering this is simply that this is a rod of Ubisoft's own making. This is exactly what happens when you pander to the SJW community, when you queerbait the LGBT community, because you know you'll get a lot of retweets on Twitter. Eventually, they will eat you. That's why the saying is the left always eats itself, or SJWs always eat themselves, because they do, right? Because there's what called the victimhood stack. So if you're gay, you get this many points. If you're trans, you get this many points. If you're trans otherkin, you get this many points. If you're a person of color who's trans, you get this many points. Eventually, nobody can be supremely woke. The king or queen of that will probably be a person of color who was born with no arms and no legs and identifies as an androgynous tree person. This is how these crazy people think, okay? So last night, Ubisoft rolls out that Assassin's Creed will, in fact, give you the Going Straight DLC pack. Assassin's Creed Odyssey will alter DLC scenes and dialogue, after all. Changes address controversy. I would like to I think the correct word here is non-troversy, if you know what I mean, over forced romantic storyline. Oh my God. What about all this straight... Okay, I'm not even going down that road. Assassin's Creed Odyssey's Shadow Heritage expansion will get changes to its story and cinematics, after all. A non-troversy in which the protagonist character was hardwired into a hetero relationship that received a child. Despite earlier story choices, some players could make making them into same-sex romances. Again, at the time, my biggest gripe about all this is that people want free will in a video game, basically. It's a video game. There's only so many possibilities that can exist. I feel like we're getting a little nitpicky, people. You can do, as long as it's legal, whatever you want in real life. Let's not expect video games to replace real life. I mean, let's just chill here a little bit. But again, Ubisoft asked for this. They asked for this. They were taking in all those delicious likes and retweets when they talked about how woke their game was. So I don't feel bad for them. A Ubisoft community manager said that Ubisoft Quebec is making changes to...
Mas eu quero ter mais exemplos deste grau de wokeness. Este é um bom exemplo.
Well, the results are in, and apparently more people chose to play as Alexios instead of Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now, I personally didn't really understand what all the hype was about when they announced that Cassandra was going to be a playable character from beginning until end in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I mean, it's cool, it's impressive as fuck because of all the voice acting that they had to do for both Alexios and Cassandra. It's an impressive feat. But if we're talking on the grounds alone that just because she's a woman, this is, oh my god, it's amazing, I can't get on board with that. Because literally, it's only groundbreaking because you can play as the woman from the beginning until the end. And I'd like to believe in 2018, the whole concept of female protagonists being an oh my god, this is amazing situation is kind of done. It's a regular occurrence now, you know? And it's also not the first female playable character in Assassin's Creed either, because we had Aveline in the Assassin's Creed 3 DLC. Which was a damn shame because this was already after I got burned by Ubisoft season passes in the past, so I didn't really get a chance to try that out. I want to. Maybe I will go back and try that out at some point, but Aveline was awesome, and I know there was a heavy clamor for people wanting to play as Elise when Assassin's Creed Unity was announced, because the trailer kind of implicated that she would be playable. A lot of people assumed that she was going to be, and then she didn't end up being playable in the main story. Now, I don't know if they ever did a DLC where you could play as her. I already explained my whole DLC situation with Ubisoft games, so maybe they did, but the one that personally disappointed me the most was when they announced Assassin's Creed China. I was like, oh my god, it's gonna be great, climbing the Great Wall and all that business. Then the concept art came out for Xiaojun, and it's like, oh, playable Chinese female character is gonna be so goddamn awesome. Then Ubisoft comes to pull the rug from under our feet and tell us that it's not a real Assassin's Creed game, it's a spin-off called Assassin's Creed Chronicles. That gave me blue balls like a mother. Anyway, at least being playable from beginning to end would have been a mind-blowing situation, because there's definitely a lot more demand for it at the time. This was when there was not an onslaught of female protagonists to come for the following years, but that ship sailed, and we had Syndicate where you were able to switch between Jacob and Evie Frag, which I kind of feel like was a direct response to people crying about not having been able to play as Elise. Funny how that works out, right? But generally, the unfortunate part was Syndicate was kind of at the end of everybody's burnout with the Assassin's Creed series overall. Although there was some...
Deixa-me mostrar este vídeo. Exatamente este vídeo. Mas a culpa também é parte da Ubisoft, porque ao sediar tantas vezes Hulk, acaba por depois alimentar este tipo de demónio.
Has launched, and it's been out about a week now. I think it came out Friday, so we're almost to a full week, and so far people are enjoying it. You can see here 7.7 user score, and it's actually got an 80 from critics. But they're not from the bigger critics, unless these are big critics. I'm not sure. I don't really go to websites for stuff. I listen to what people are saying. So I've heard of Destructoid and Game Informer, but I haven't heard a lot from a lot of these smaller places. However, you can see here Variety gives it a bad score because, you guessed it, it doesn't have Trump. In fact, there's already a bunch of articles attacking this game for that reason. It's sad that people expect this game to be full-on progressive and political because of its setting, right? It's set in a ruined America that's going through like a civil war. Society's kind of collapsed, and they want their politics shoved in there. This is because of the right. That's what they want. And you thankfully have developers that are like, nah, we want everyone to buy the game. And they don't bow to that. And this makes these journalists upset because they only have one thing they want out of video games. That's a platform. They don't even play video games, in my opinion. I don't think any of these people really do, except for maybe a handful of them. So we're going to take a look at these articles that all have the same similar theme, which is really funny. So let's go through a couple of them. I'm going to point out some of the garbage that they put in here. But before we do that, let's take a moment and highlight this old article right here just for a second. Massive Entertainment CEO believes politics in games are bad for business. Now, this is the guy who heads up The Division, right? He says it's a universe and a world that we created for people to explore. how to be a good person in a slowly decaying world. But people like to put politics into that, and we back away from those interpretations as much as we can because we don't want to take a stance in current politics. It's also bad for business, unfortunately, if you want the honest truth, but it's interesting, and it is a discussion that we have, and it's an ongoing discussion we have with our users. Of course, because people want to put an interpretation into the universe that we create, and they want to see their own reality in the fantasies that we give them, and the stories that the games are. Now, I actually like this. He's basically saying, play the game, make up your own story. It's however you interpret it. I think that that's a really good model in today's world when pretty much all of media is just infected with politics, and not even like a appropriate, balancing of the politics. It's literally just left. That's it. And if it's anything else but that, it gets lambasted. And we've seen it a few times now. So let's start with the real garbage. We have Vice's Waypoint. We wrestle with the messy politics of the Division 2 on today's podcast. Now, it's a podcast that they're promoting, but they actually wrote a whole article with it. So let's listen to their complaints of the game, right? Just over 9 months ago, Ubisoft caught some heat when Terry Spire, creator, director at Red Storm Entertainment, one of the studios working on the Division 2, said that the Division team was definitely not making any political statements with the game. Now, that's a common theme that you're going to see in everything that I pull up, because this makes them mad. Like, they see a world like this, they're saying, well, we want that to be because of Trump. We want Trump to be the cause of that, or something like that, or the Republicans or something. They want it to be like a totally divisively political vehicle. And they're like, no, we want to make money, right? We don't want to do that because it's going to just make everybody mad. The only people that would be interested in that game are people that are not going to play it anyway. They're just going to talk about it and tweet about it. Unfortunately, that doesn't make money. That's something that, like, Marvel Entertainment, for example, hasn't figured out, that tweets don't equal dollars. So then they go on to talk about how last year at E3 they said that there was an idea of virtue and it would focus on building unity, and what goes unspoken here, but what a dozen hours of playing the Division 2 make clear, are assumptions about what players see as intrinsically good. The subtext is not that these are apolitical topics, but that they are beyond political. There's nothing political about rescuing the White House from attack, says the Division 2. It's the White House. I'm not sure what they meant there. I would like to think maybe they're just saying rescuing the White House is political. And yeah, it kind of is. But you know what? There's a difference between going on a mission to retake the White House than going on a mission to, take down Congress or something because you don't like their politics. So that you want to use the game as a platform to change it to your platform. It's not what people are looking for. And make no mistake, that's the bottom line. They make that quite clear right here. A collection of discarded placards with no sign of the apparently ineffective protesters who once held them. Yes, nobody wants to see them in the game. Nobody wants to see them like blocking traffic, running around because they're a bunch of students that didn't get really good degrees, so they're going to sit there and complain and block traffic. No one wants that a part of the game. But, they're literally mad that the signs are there, but the protesters were ineffective. Protesting didn't work. It didn't stop anything. Not their kind of protesting. All it does is make people angry. And personally, I'm glad none of this garbage is in the game. But this is just one out of so many. Now let's head over to Kotaku. What could they have to say? The Division 2's opening is as subtle as a sledgehammer. So they start off saying, I'm having fun surviving battles alongside friends and finding secrets down side alleys. But I have some questions about the game's opening cutscene. Literally writes a whole article about the cutscene, about how it should have, involved politics and stuff. So we don't need to go over this here. I just wanted to point out that the journalist says that they had fun playing the game, but then you come down here and the real thing comes out. I see flashes of a game focused on community that I want to play. These human moments are what I think of when I consider community building. The game's opening is a stark reminder that this is a Tom Clancy game with all the problems that come with that name. So what she's referring to is in the opening, it's talking about how society collapses and They're talking about how, you know, some people have firearms, and those were the ones that really made it through the kind of the harder time, and that's why they're surviving. But what the journalist wanted was community building in this game. So, like, she mentions where you expand on your base, and like all of a sudden they have gardens and stuff. It's like, I wish I could have managed the gardens. That's not what this game is. But, you know, there's a stark reminder that it's a Tom Clancy game, and all of the problems that come with it for people that come here. So it says, in spite of all those conflicted feelings about Division 2, it is fun to explore and play. Finding new loot is exciting, and I've enjoyed the easy curve upwards as I'm showered in loot. But I want to explore this game. I want to build more than just a playroom at my various outposts. I want to rebuild communities.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Literally nobody that plays this game wants to do that. This is a loot-based grinding game, like Destiny. Nobody wants that in this game. They totally missed the point. Like, it's really funny that she mentions getting loot and all this stuff. It's like, have you ever played a loot-based game? Have you ever played Destiny? You're a journalist in the gaming areas. Like, no one wants to build communities in that game unless it's, you know, a community of friends that you play the game with. They don't want to do gardening. That's something you do in, like, Fallout, not The Division. So then we head over to Sci-Fi Wire, which covers games for some reason. And this is also the outlet that has fangirls right at the top. I hate this website. It's about as bad as the Mary Sue. I mean, just look at this. Tom Clancy's The Division 2 can't ignore its political implications. What happened to Sci-Fi Wire? Remember when they used to have, like, cool sci-fi shows, and they would, like, play an anime 2 in the morning, and you know, Godzilla movies on there, and now it's like, Division 2 should have been political. Captain Marvel's the best. I don't understand what happened to Sci-Fi Wire. They used to be, like, Sci-Fi Channel used to be really cool.
A culpa também é do Ubisoft, porque cada vez que faz...
Cada vez que é... Hot take. So they're going to describe a mission that you go into.
Cada vez que é
Hulk... view of it. The game doesn't encourage engagement with its plot points or visuals. At one point, the player fights in a museum exhibition detailing the Vietnam War.
Cada vez que é Hulk,
Posters highlighting
depois,
the states
claro,
of
mete-se
protest movement.
à pala da
Question
conta das coisas,
naturally
porque
raised here about the role of misguided
é só que dá-se a ponta de dedo e eles querem logo o corpo todo.
that aimed to rethink American governments
E às vezes
is
literalmente.
ignored in favor of the more immediate concerns of shooting enemies and proceeding to the next map marker. What are they supposed to do? You're literally storming a building to go take out, like, the enemy, but you're expecting the game to just stop and cover the Vietnam War and talk about how it changed the fabric of America.
Pronto, vocês já perceberam a ideia de que o Watch Dogs 3 ser Hulk não é novidade, mas acho que é um caso particularmente mais perto do Watch Dogs 3, não, Watch Dogs Legion ser Hulk não é novidade, é algo que é típico do Ubisoft, mas é um caso mais que toca mais, que é mais íntimo com as minhas preocupações do mundo. Mas agora falando um bocadinho das previsões, eu acho que vão anunciar um Rayman para a Switch. Eu gostaria que fosse um port Rayman 2, como já disse. Nintendo Switch é a única console da Nintendo que não tem um Rayman 2. A única console desde a Nintendo DS que não tem um Rayman 2. Olha, um jogo que eu acho que eles vão anunciar é o Step 2 e talvez um Crew 3. Era fixe, um Crew 3. Seria muito fixe. Se fosse anunciado um Crew 3.
Crew 3.
Mas acho pouco provável.
Crew 3.
Mas um step 2 é capaz.
Step 2. Step 2. Step 2.
Seria muito fixe um Step 2 fosse anunciado. Também seria muito fixe que fosse anunciado um bom novo Far Cry, porque o último foi uma merda. Mas é pouco provável. Pronto, talvez um novo Como é que é? Starlink. Acho que não. Starlink não. Eu acho que vai haver uma colaboração entre a Nintendo e a Ubisoft que vai ser anunciada na E3 de 2019. Na E3 agora que vai começar na próxima semana. Mas não sei muito bem que IP vão usar da Nintendo. Mas é um bocado pena a Ubisoft ser um bocado hook demais. É um bocado de pena. E eu tenho um bocado de pena que a Ubisoft.
Ubisoft is pretty woke. Ubisoft is pretty woke.
Mas vamos lá ver. Você que não sei assim tão. É pena a Ubisoft ser um. Só que às vezes faz bons jogos. É pena é. Pronto, ser um bocadinho. Coisa. Pronto. Eu também já falei do outro vídeo anterior. Eu acho que vai haver uma colaboração entre a Nintendo. E claro, Good and Evil. Good and Evil 2. Estão a tentar Good and Evil 2. Estão a. Good and Evil 2 vai ser fixe. Como eu já tinha dito no vídeo anterior, supostamente é o filme. Supostamente, mas eu duvido que ela uma vez tenha jogado. Favorito da Anitta Sarkeesian. Até falando disso, vamos mostrar aqui um vídeo. Tinha. Isto quer dizer que. Não sei conseguir encontrar. Deixa eu ver aqui. Não, mas é. Supostamente. Não, supostamente é. Olha aqui. Fiquem com este.
I'm going to show you a remix that I just finished this weekend and no one else has seen. One person has seen it. It's a soundtrack of one song, except I'm doing video games. So it's not exactly a fandom. I'm not a fan of video games. I actually had to learn a lot about video games in the process of making this.
There's too many dicks on the dance floor. Too many dicks on the dance floor. Too many dicks on the dance floor. Too many dicks.
To me, the song is positive just because I've only contextualized it in a way to critique male domination in our media. And also video games, like I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. So hence this is my response to that. I'm going to show you a remix that I just finished this weekend and no one else has seen.
This is Anita Sarkeesian. She's a self-described pop culture critic and founder of the video web series Feminist Frequency, with her most well-known project by far being Tropes vs. Women in Video Games, a series of videos where she points out the apparent sexism within gaming. However, are Anita's claims about video games all that accurate? Today we're gonna find out. In this video we're looking at 8 Anita Sarkeesian fails. Number 8. Toadette. In the Miss Male Character video, Anita claims that Toadette is, quote, the only woman among the mushroom people.
Over in the Mushroom Kingdom, we have Toadette, who is both a Ms. Male character and the only woman among the mushroom people. Her introduction to the Mario spin-off games emphasizes the fact that all the other toads in the entire species are male.
However, this statement is simply untrue. The Mario world has multiple other female mushroom characters. In Paper Mario, there's Minty, Tasty, Vanity, and Chanterelle. In the sequel, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, there's Zesty, Jolene, and the Traveling Sisters 3. And even in Super Mario RPG, there are female mushrooms. Now normally, you could point this all out to her in the comment section of her video, however, the comments have been disabled. Number 7. Hitman Absolution. In the episode Women as Background Decoration Part 1, Anita argues that a part of the game Hitman Absolution encourages players to attack female dancers.
So in many of the titles we've been discussing, the game makers have set up a series of possible scenarios involving vulnerable, eroticized female characters. Players are then invited to explore and exploit those situations during their playthrough. The player cannot help but treat these female bodies as things to be acted upon, because they were designed, constructed, and placed in the environment for that singular purpose. Players are meant to derive a perverse pleasure from desecrating the bodies of unsuspecting virtual female characters. It's a rush streaming from a carefully concocted mix of sexual arousal connected to the act of controlling and punishing representations of female sexuality.
Okay, there is a lot wrong with this one, so let's begin.
The player cannot help but treat these female bodies as things to be acted upon, because they were designed, constructed, and placed in the environment for that singular purpose.
Pay attention to how Anita claims the dancers were put there for that, quote, singular purpose. This may have been a sound argument if it wasn't for the fact that you have the option to pass the dancers without laying a finger on them. This part of the game has what you might call a fork in the road. Direction A brings you near the dancers, where sure, if you wanted to, you could attack them. Or you could not hurt them and use this direction instead to evade security. Since one of the main goals of Hitman Absolution is to avoid getting caught, the latter is far more practical. And the other choice is direction B. You could subdue the guard, hide his body, and not go near the dancers at all. But instead of covering both options, Anita only chose to highlight one of them. Anita could have just as easily argued that
the player cannot help but treat these women as people to avoid. Players are meant to sneak past them in order to proceed further in the game. It's a rush streaming from the suspense of being spotted.
Which would actually make more sense because Hitman Absolution is a game that rewards you for being stealthy. For example, look at some of the trophies or achievements you can earn. This is the game giving the player motivation to be sneaky. Even the very first mission tells this to you.
During this assignment, key game elements will be highlighted. First of all, try to kill with discretion and try to remain undetected.
Also, the dancers in this game are not treated as mere objects. They have dialogue that not only gives their characters personality, but makes you feel empathy for them.
I just can't take much more, Dom. I don't know what to do. Look, you're new here. Dom is the price of this business. Be smart. Every club has one like him. A Dom.
He wanted me to do a show in the back room. I don't do that. Well, he said if I didn't, he would do what he did to Lori last night. Or worse.
The fucker did the same thing to Amber with a billy club instead of... of a hairbrush.
Who's Amber? Oh, God. Why is this happening? I mean, look outside. There are cops everywhere. And you know what? He doesn't give a flying fuck.
That's why he comps all the cops. They are not about to fuck with him when he gives them free titties every night.
I think it's sick. I mean, we're just working.
Look, be smart, be safe, and put a brave face on, or Dom will send you straight to Hawaii.
Why would that be bad?
Well, you seen the sign on the door upstairs? The one that's always locked? Believe me, it's bad.
I just saw Dom. He said if I didn't entertain his friends, I'd be going to Hawaii.
Hey. Look, you just gotta entertain his friends. Don't let them think they own you. And just think of something positive. We've all been there, honey. Luckily, they don't ask twice.
Just tell me what happens in Hawaii. I mean, it's just, you all say it's really bad. I mean, is it just like a private club? Like the back room?
Yeah, something like that. But it's not something you really want to be a member of. Just be strong, baby. Yeah, pretty girl. You show them how good you are, but just don't say yes to everything they say.
Okay. Thank you. I won't. Poor thing.
So how can Anita say you're meant to derive some perverse pleasure from desecrating their bodies when you're more than free to go around them? The game tells you to be stealthy and rewards you for doing so, and the dancers have dialogue to make you feel bad for their situation. Anita is basing this on nothing more than conjecture. And even if you chose to attack the dancers, the game penalizes you for doing so, which Anita shows in her video. In the game Hitman, you play as, well, a hitman. You're not supposed to attack random people. You're supposed to kill your target. But playing in this manner can cost you trophies like Inconspicuous, and you also lose points for getting spotted. Now, some people have argued that when you hide the body, you get all your points back, so essentially there is no penalty. Here's the thing though, being able to recover from a penalty is not the same as there being no penalty. For example, a lot of games have health lying around for when you're injured, and some games make you heal automatically. But being able to heal from an injury is not the same as being invincible. Besides, going around taking people out puts a player at risk. After you subdue someone, you have to find a place to hide the body. And when you drag the body around, you move a lot slower, which puts you at risk of being spotted.
Oh my god. Oh, locker.
And if someone does spot you, they'll come to investigate and find the body automatically and raise the alarm. But even if, without a doubt, you were supposed to attack the dancers, how would that make the game sexist? Agent 47's motivation for killing people has nothing to do with hating women, and most of your targets in the game are men anyway. To wrap this one up, a game allowing you to do something is not the same as it encouraging you to do so. Number 6. Just Cause 2. Following her misleading commentary on Hitman Absolution, Anita shows gameplay from the Mile High Club in Just Cause 2 to support this claim.
In-game consequences for these violations are trivial at best, and rarely lead to any sort of fail-safe.
Pronto, vocês já perceberam quem é a Anita Sarkeesian, mas só porque ela gosta do Good and Evil 2, não quer dizer que o jogo seja mau. Bem, isso eu nem sequer tenho a certeza se ela gosta mesmo ou se foi só simplesmente vamos ver este pequeno trailer do ano passado, de Good and Evil 2.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is massive, and traversing its open star system is completely seamless whether you're on foot, in vehicles, or in space. You play as a customizable space pirate captain who carries a sword, a gun, and a jetpack as basic equipment. Your character and weapons can also be enhanced with augments, which grant special abilities and let you experiment with different effects in combat. Trapping foes in a time-slowing bubble, for example, or freezing them in place with chained electricity. Enemies can also use augments, like these scientists who can heal their soldier buddies with augmented bullets, so you'll want to get a close look at who's carrying what and plan your strategy accordingly. In order to see what your enemies have equipped, you'll need your spyglass, which displays the stats, skills, and augments of other characters, as well as revealing more details about locations and points of interest, even from space. It's a key part of recruiting, too. Take a close look at an NPC and you'll see if they have any skills worth adding to your space pirate crew. Of course, your crew isn't the only company you can bring along. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is an online game, and while you can play solo, co-op buddies can jump in or out at any time. You won't be tethered together either, and if you want to wander off and explore while another player does their own thing, you're free to do so. Welcome to Ganesha City, a dense, vertically built metropolis where the rich live at the top and the poor huddle in shanty towns built into the sides of the city's foundations. It's sprawling and richly detailed, and it's just one small corner of a moon called Soma, itself just a small piece of Beyond Good and Evil 2's gigantic open world. It's also built for aerial exploration, so in addition to your jetpack, you'll have access to a wide selection of flying vehicles.
Como eu já disse, eu gosto do Ubisoft, das três grandes evil corporations de videojogos. Esta é a que eu gosto mais. Entre a EA, a Activision e o Ubisoft é que eu gosto mais. Por isso é que eu fico sempre cá chateado por ela ser tão Hulk. Ai, que fixe.
Woke.
Ela ser tão Hulk. Ai,
Woke.
Por ser tão...
Woke.
Deixa-me um bocadinho chateado. Como se costuma dizer...
Get woke, go broke. Get woke, go broke.
Porque eu até gosto eu gosto do Ubisoft, por acaso, até. Em certos níveis. Eu adoro Far Cry. É um dos meus jogos favoritos. Far Cry. Eu adoro Far Cry. Eu tenho todos os Far Cry, exceto o último. Eu gosto de Far Cry. Acho que são jogos interessantes.
You see can be commandeered and driven, and they can all tune in to Radio Cheetah, a station by space pirates for space pirates. You'll also be able to fully customize your own rides, swapping out modules, wings, engines, equipment, and cosmetic options to tailor your machines to look good and hold their own in a fight. You'll need special equipment or skills to take on larger vessels, but your fighter ships are agile, able to execute barrel rolls, lock onto targets with homing missiles, and dogfight with police if you inadvertently break some city law like flying too close to a major tourist attraction or robbing a bank. And like your weapons, ships can be equipped with augments, enabling you to do things like firing healing missiles at your co-op partners. Your ships are also capable of hitting extreme speeds, covering thousands of kilometers in a matter of seconds. This is essential for getting around planets in a hurry, as well as for flying out into orbit to rendezvous with your mothership, a huge vessel that serves as your home base. Even out here in orbit, you can seamlessly transition from piloting a ship to spacewalking with a nano spacesuit to protect you from the vacuum. Popping out of the cockpit and into the cold abyss of space allows you to use your spyglass to investigate a planet, peering down at treasure-hiding geoglyphs, cities, and settlements, all of which are still buzzing with activity far below you, enabling your co-op partner to explore and interact normally with city life even when you're this far apart. Alternately, you can switch over to the universe map, a fully 3D rendering of System 3 that can be zoomed in and out to give you an overview of everything from close-ups of a planet's surface to the continuously orbiting layout of the entire system. For more, watch the full Beyond Good and Evil 2 live stream linked in the description below, and to find out more as it develops, be sure to subscribe to this channel and visit us at news.ubisoft.com.
Gostaria de relembrar-vos que no jogo Beyond Good and Evil Se forem ao site It Record.
Beyond Good and Evil 2 is massive, and traversing its open star system is completely seamless, whether you're on foot, in vehicle.
E que se forem a este site, gostaria de relembrar que se forem a este site, podem publicar coisas, como por exemplo, sei lá, eu vou meter uma imagem qualquer, por exemplo, esta aqui. Podem publicar que depois estes coisas poderão ser usados como assets no jogo. No jogo. Provavelmente este não, por causa de ser politicamente incorreto, mas poderão. Mas podem meter e depois poderá eventualmente ser usado como asset no jogo. As fotos poderão ser usadas como assets no jogo. Vão ser usadas. A ideia é vocês podem publicar essas imagens, não é? E elas poderão ser usadas ou não com assets no jogo Beyond Good and Evil. Se forem aqui.
Previously, I thought that Anita Sarkeesian was just incredibly dishonest. But as it turns out, I now know that, damn, was I giving her the benefit of the doubt. Her level of dishonesty beggars belief. It really does just beggar belief on the scale of creating her own fabricated sexist comments such that she can claim that she's persecuted. That's the level of dishonesty that we're talking about. And then to try and pass this off as a well-researched piece of media.
This is an incredibly ambitious project because of the scope and scale of the research and production involved.
So what's the evidence for this, I hear you ask? Well, that's as black and white as it comes. But we'll come to that in a moment. The sad thing here is just how many people she's duped. She was given an ambassador's award at a game developers convention. And then I found this on YouTube.
I love video games so much that I had to quit them because they were taking over my life. But Anita Sarkeesian's new video illustrates some shocking trends that need to be addressed. Just a heads up, the gameplay footage in this video is not safe for work, which is part of the problem.
Yes, she's been featured on YouTube Nation, who were only too happy to justify why she blocks comments and ratings.
As unsettling as all of this is, the thing that disturbs me the most is the kind of personal backlash that Anita and her channel have faced. She's had to turn off her comments and hide her like-dislike ratio. This is not okay. Please watch this video and share.
However, if you go to places where you can discuss her videos, which is basically anywhere where she can't delete your comments, you'll find example after example of how she's just cherry-picked and completely misrepresented games. Two very clear examples is where she used the game Watch Dogs on the very mission where you have to try and shut down a sex trafficking ring. Well, how can you possibly portray that as objectifying women? Well, she found a way.
And almost never get to be anything other than set dressing or props in someone else's narrative. This is the essence of what sexual objectification means. And since that concept is at the heart of the women as background decoration trope, let's take a moment to define it.
That is, she takes a mission where you're trying to shut down a sex trafficking ring and portrays that as sexist. Another game that came up a lot was Hitman. This is how she describes Hitman Absolution.
Players are meant to derive a perverse pleasure from desecrating the bodies of unsuspecting virtual female characters. It's a rush streaming from a carefully concocted mix of sexual arousal connected to the act of controlling and punishing representations of female sexuality.
So deeply skeptical because you're meant to be a hitman, yet not going around killing random people. Indeed, you're penalized for killing people who are not your target, and even more so for killing innocent civilians. That is, the game actively disincentivizes killing random people like the girls in the strip club. So I watched the playthrough of the missions, of which there were plenty. I watched about 40 or so of these people playing the mission. It turns out there are two ways of doing it, and only one of those takes you past the girls doing their makeup, and one doesn't. So about 3/4 went the easier route, and about 1/4 went past the dancers. Most of them sneaked past the dancers like you're meant to do, and none of them actually attacked or killed the dancers, because you'd get penalized for it.
I just can't take much more, Dom. I don't know what to do.
Look, you're new here. Dom is the price of this business. Be smart. Every club has one like him. A Dom.
He wanted me to do a show in the back room. I just can't take much more, Dom. I don't know what to do.
Look, you're new.
Now, we're going to walk past these two women doing their makeup. One of them eventually walks toward the area that we're going to go, so we have to watch out for her.
There are cops everywhere, and you know what? He doesn't give a flying fuck.
That's why he calls all the cops. They are not about to fuck with him when he gives them free titties every night.
I think it's sick. I mean, we're just working.
Look, we've all heard the stories, right? Smart? What's going on?
Hey, man.
Players are then invited to explore and exploit those situations during their playthrough. The player cannot help but treat these female bodies as things to be acted upon, because they were designed, constructed, and placed in the environment for that singular purpose. Players are meant to derive a perverse pleasure from desecrating the bodies of unsuspecting virtual female characters.
So in summary, this is how Anita Sarkeesian's video deconstructs the representation of women in popular media. She takes a game where you are actively discouraged from killing innocent civilians. Then, because one mission out of 20 involves a strip club, of which only about 2 parts out of 7 are actually in the strip club, and of that, only a few % involves the erotic dancers, almost every second of which was used in her video. Then, because no one who actually plays the game kills the dancers, because you get penalized for doing it, she then presumably goes and kills the dancers herself and drags their bodies around so she can claim this.
The player cannot help but treat these female bodies as things to be acted upon, because they were designed, constructed, and placed in the environment for that singular purpose. Players are meant to derive a perverse pleasure from desecrating the bodies of unsuspecting virtual female characters.
Now, we're going to walk past these two women doing their makeup. One of them eventually walks toward the area that we're going to go, so we have to watch out for her.
It's a rush streaming from a carefully concocted mix of sexual arousal connected to the act of controlling and punishing representations of female sexuality.
Jesus Christ, woman, you are a liar without shame. It's like complaining that bricks are designed to cause vandalism in a crime-free town where vandalism is actively discouraged, and then going and smashing your own car window with a brick just to show how much bricks cause vandalism and how much this town has a big problem with vandalism. Claiming, as Anita does, that just because you can, that you are actually invited and encouraged to do it.
The game makers have set up a series of possible scenarios involving vulnerable, eroticized female characters. Players are then invited to explore and exploit those situations during their playthrough.
Is literally as stupid as saying games where you can fall to your death. You're actually being invited and encouraged to fall to your death. And that this will make people want to do it in real life.
Paradoxically, and somewhat ironically, those who most strongly believe that media is just harmless entertainment are also the ones most likely to uncritically internalize harmful media messages. In short, the more you think you cannot be affected, the more likely you are to be affected.
This is not just slightly dishonest. This is pissing on them and telling them it's raining dishonest. And the Game Developer Awards and YouTube Nation just lap it up.
The thing that disturbs me the most is the kind of personal backlash that Anita and her channel have faced. She's had to turn off her comments and hide her like-dislike ratio. This is not okay. Please watch this video and share.
No, Anna. The reason that she disables comments is because if she doesn't, people will simply point them to videos like this one, where it is outrageously black and white clear just how dishonest she has been. And just in case there is any lingering doubt here, I should add to the presenter, Anna Akana, just so we are clear how dishonest Anita Sarkeesian is being. It would be like adding this pop culture deconstruction to your video. The message that Anna is normalizing and encouraging here is that threatening deadly firearm violence against women is not only permissible, but should be actively sought after. If this is meant to be humor or not, does not change the fact that just for being herself, this woman is being threatened with death by a firearm. A clearly misogynistic message. Anna stresses this point by emphasizing the level of overkill that the protagonist should adopt.
Mask, which can draw
that would be
air
about
from
as
water
fair
as you
a
swim.
representation of your
Triton,
video
the
as
mask
Anita
is a
Sarkeesian's
mouthpiece
video
respirator.
was a fair representation of Hitman. Cherry-picking a tiny fraction of the video and manipulating and misrepresenting it out of all proportion. Yeah, this is why she has to disable comments to shield her viewers, such as yourself, from learning the truth about just how dishonest she is. You were taken in hook, line, and sinker, along with many others, into believing something that is simply bullshit.
This is not okay. Please watch this video and share.
Não, mas só porque a Anitta aqui gosta do jogo, não quer dizer que o jogo seja automaticamente mau. Mas pronto, não ajuda em nada. E pronto. Vamos lá ver como é que vai ser. Para vocês não sejam assim tão louco. Outro jogo que eu tenho quase certeza que vai sair vai ser Just Dance. E tem quase vai ser uma versão para a Nintendo Wii original, não para a Wii U, para a Nintendo Wii original. Pronto, vamos depois ver. Eu estou a pensar em depois transmitir a minha reação às diferentes pré-conferências da E3. Em que eu vou gravar a ver as diferentes pré-apresentações. Era outra coisa que eu queria dizer. Pronto. Em que vou gravar a minha reação e eu a ver as diferentes pré-conferências da E3. Pronto. Pronto. Até ao próximo vídeo.